Hi, my name is Liz, and welcome to a series I like to call Stitches and Stories, where I tell a story while I do an embroidery. Lately, embroidery has become one of my favorite hobbies, and I was thinking that I really like telling story times here on YouTube, so I would like to continue telling stories and incorporate a bit of consistency by doing some stitchery while I tell these stories. So I wanted to start this series where I want to tell stories, all sorts of different stories, true crime stories, just interesting historical stories, stories about my own personal life, funny stories, anything, all sorts of different stories. I already have a ton of things saved that I want to talk about, and today in particular I was inspired by one of my friends, a fellow YouTuber. Her name on YouTube here is Cryptic Jasmine, and she has been one of the most inspiring and genuine and kind people I've ever met. So I wanted to kick this series off doing a little embroidery for her and dedicated to the theme of powerful and inspiring women. So she had suggested to me to look into the story of Veronica Varlow. And so today I am going to be telling you about Veronica Varlow, the burlesque performer and love witch. So I'm going to start off right here. I have this pattern of a bat. I found this on Etsy. I'll leave a link below to the pattern that I'm using here. And I'm just going to do a basic back stitch with some regular black thread. So I'm going to get started on that while I dive into the story of Veronica Varlow. Veronica Varlow was born April 29th, 1979 as Tara Lee Hefner. She was born in a small town in Florida and raised by her parents until she was 12 years old when they got a divorce. From what I could tell in my research, she seemed to be an only child, and as a kid growing up, her parents were a little bit more conservative. However, Veronica as a child had a fascination with dancers. She recalled seeing a commercial where some cartoon can-can dancers were at the top of a ShopRite ad with their skirts on, kicking their legs up. And she was really just found that to be so joyful and something she was very intrigued by, and it looked like something she really wanted to do. And she also had a Barbie who was sort of a can-can dancer sort of Barbie, and it was her favorite toy, and she was just very inspired by this. It felt like something that she witnessed as being incredibly joyful, and she was really happy to see these dancers. And so as a kid, she collected all the skirts in her house and she put them all on and got up on the table and started lifting her skirt up and kicking her legs like she had seen the can-can dancers do. Now, when her father walked in and saw her on the table doing this, he didn't approve of this behavior. So he took her down off the table and let her know that that was not an appropriate way for a young girl to act. And Veronica really kind of took this to heart, and she kind of kept that in her head that, you know, even though she had seen joy and, you know, had experienced happiness from doing this, someone who was an authority figure and who was, you know, taking care of her and teaching her how the world worked as she was a child, and this was her parent, told her that this was wrong. And so it kind of stuck in her head that this was something that she shouldn't do and something that was considered to be more shameful. So she kind of continued on with that perspective in her life, really, you know, in her heart, enjoying and wanting to express herself in that way, but believing because her father had told her that it wasn't okay, that it was something that she should try to avoid and not a way that she should be expressing herself. Eventually, Veronica moved to Brooklyn, and when she was in her mid-20s in 1999, she saw her first burlesque show. And when she saw this show, it was put on by a performer called Dirty Martini, and the performer came out and had a bunch of balloons that they were covered in for their costume. And as they were out on stage, they kind of gave a monologue while smoking a cigarette and popped each of the balloons with the cigarette as they gave this monologue. And this was something that Veronica really enjoyed. She found it very inspiring, and it kind of sparked that little thing inside of her again that really, it made her appreciate, and, you know, she really enjoyed performing. It really seemed like something that was inspiring to her and that she was very interested in. So once she saw the show, it kind of re-sparked that interest, but it still kind of stayed in the back of her head, and she continued on. She was working at kind of a cubicle job, just a regular, you know, office sort of 9-to-5 job, just doing the regular mundane thing that, you know, people are expected to do in adulthood, I guess. And she just, you know, she appreciated it, but it still kind of stayed to the back of her mind, and she just went along with her life, continuing to work at her office job and just kind of staying a little bit more reserved and quiet in her interests and her hobbies. But she did say when she saw this burlesque show that it was really just the attitude and the confidence of this performer that was very inspiring. Just the way that the performer came out on stage and really owned the room and was just very forefront and very self-assured in their personality and in their character. And that was something that Veronica was very drawn to, and something that really truly inspired her. So this is something she had been thinking about kind of in the back of her mind for the past couple years, just going throughout her daily life, working her regular job. And in 2003, unfortunately, Veronica ended up being attacked by a Rottweiler. Now, I just want to put a little tiny disclaimer in here. I'm not trying to like be prejudiced in any ways toward any specific breed of dog, but it is specified in every report of this attack that it was a Rottweiler. So that's the only reason that I'm really including that information. I don't know. I'm just trying to be as sensitive as possible, but she was attacked by a Rottweiler, and it was a very vicious attack. This was an attack that left her, and another little warning, I'm going to give a little bit of graphic detail of, you know, her injuries from a result of this attack. Her face was attacked, and her nose was only hanging on by a little bit. You know, her entire face had been mauled. She had severe injuries to her face and her body, and she had to be immediately rushed to the hospital for treatment for this attack. And the wounds and like her condition was so severe that they were not able to put her under anesthesia. So the surgery she had to have from the results of this attack by the Rottweiler ended up taking 8 hours. And during the entire time, Veronica was conscious. So Veronica definitely took this time to really think and consider a lot of things about her life. And it was at this point where she really started to realize that the thing that had been holding her back the most from doing what she wanted in life was the opinions of other people. And not in a way that mattered. It wasn't people close to her or her family that she was necessarily worried about. It was just people in general, just anyone who could see her passing by on the road, in the office, or anything, just in general. It was this worry about people's opinions that had kind of stopped her from pursuing her interests and her passions and things that she would have really enjoyed doing in her life. And so as she was laying there during this surgery, she decided that she was no longer going to let that stop her. She realized, you know, what does it matter? What does it matter what other people think of me who have no real involvement in my life? Why should that stop me from doing what I want to do? And it was that at that point in time that she came to this realization that she wanted to pursue her interests and her hobbies and her passions. And she really wanted to just go out there and live her life the way that she wanted to live her life. And it was kind of then that she realized that if people were going to judge her and people didn't like the way she was doing things, it didn't really matter. Unless she wanted those people to be a part of her life, it didn't matter what anyone else thought. And she became very inspired by this. And so, of course, she had to take time for her recovery. And after a while, she was able to start pursuing her initial dream that she had had ever since a child of performing as a dancer. And the even more specific inspiration that she had gotten in the 90s, 1999, from that burlesque performer. And so she went to New York and she took a class at the School of Burlesque, and the class she described as being a very freeing experience and a very inspiring and motivating environment. She described it as not being the type of class that has a lot of rules, because burlesque is a form of dance, and a lot of dance will have very specific critiques and very specific ways that you're supposed to do things, and rules and forms and formations. However, she described burlesque as being a much more open experience and personal, and way more of an artistic interpretation and expression of the things that you want to put out there on stage. So she took this class, and the School of Burlesque wasn't so much the type of school that you would go and study for years and graduate from. It was more the type of school that you would just go and take a class. And so she did this, and in 2007, she did her first burlesque performance and was almost immediately scouted by Marc Jacobs. I don't know, I'm not really sure who exactly it was in the crowd of the performance, but someone who worked for Marc Jacobs approached Veronica after one of her very first performances and asked her if she wanted to perform at the Marc Jacobs Christmas party. So, of course, Veronica accepted, and this started a long run of very professional burlesque performances that Veronica was hired to do. So at this Marc Jacobs party, I believe it was at the Marc Jacobs party, Heidi Klum actually saw her performance and invited her to do a private performance for one of her own parties. So very quickly, Veronica was doing high-end performances, VIP, whatever, very professional performances as a burlesque entertainer. She also performed at the Whitney Museum for a best-selling novelist. And in 2008, Veronica was actually recruited by MTV to be the coach for someone on Made who wanted to become homecoming queen. So this entire time, pretty much since 2007 that she had been a burlesque dancer, she was also a part of the company Emily Autumn's Bloody Crumpets. And from the research I've been able to do, she's still a part of that company to this day. So they have done a lot of tours and live performances across, I think across the country. I'm not 100% on that, but it seems to be a pretty popular burlesque touring company, or at least show company. So that was one of her main gigs, in addition to all of the high-end professional performances that she landed. And also for a few years, from 2013 to 2016, she was working on a film project with her husband at the time. Her husband's name was Burke, and the two of them had been planning to release an independent film called Revolver. They were able to raise over $100,000 to work on this film, but ultimately ended up divorcing in 2016, which led to a lot of delays in production, and it still has never been released. So probably won't ever be released. But that was a project, that was a film that she was going to be a part of. And there was also another film she was in, I think in 2012, called Exposed. And that was also more of an independent film. It was around the time of her divorce in 2016 that Veronica really started to turn her attention towards the desire to motivate and inspire and encourage other women who might have found themselves in a similar situation to what she had been in before she had ended up in that awful dog attack. So in 2017, she had gotten a property in Woodstock, New York, and started to run what she called a witches retreat. This retreat was a few days long, and it was open to women to come and just have an open space to share their feelings and emotions, and to be heard, and to feel like they could relate and get advice and just be open and vulnerable and have a safe space to share their experiences and their feelings and just kind of be there for each other. This retreat kind of developed into sort of a sisterhood, as she likes to refer to it. And it's just kind of a bond of women who can be there for each other and who can relate to one another and who have the same sort of interests. And when I say they call it a witches retreat, it's because they do kind of have the sort of, I don't know, activities. I don't really know what to call it, but they do have ceremonies. I don't know what to call it, but where they'll kind of work with herbs and spices and burning different things or making different mixtures of what they'll call potions, you know, but just different sorts of mixtures of essential oils and things like that, and have things like tarot card readings and just the general, like, I don't know. I don't know if y'all are familiar, but like witch culture, it's kind of a thing. So it's just kind of that sort of thing. That's why she calls it a witches retreat, because they do have more of a spiritual side to the things that they do. I mean, obviously I haven't been on the retreats, and there isn't a ton of information about the actual retreats themselves. You know, it seems like more of an experience, but from what I could gather, you know, it just seems like an open space there. Everybody goes to this house in Woodstock and just kind of can chill and drink tea and just, you know, bask in the vibes. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's sort of what this was. And so she has extended this sisterhood and this bond to the internet, and she has a website where you can take classes, you can buy potions or crystals, and she has sort of self-help, I guess, sort of courses that are, you know, to help inspire sensuality and confidence and self-love. And that's really what she's all about, is just the empowerment of women and trying to help other women and other people in the world to really like realize their full potential and to, you know, kind of come to the same understanding that she did when she was in that surgery, and thinking about the things that she had went through in her life, and realizing why she had held herself back and that it wasn't worth it. And she just wants to share that perspective with other people and help other people feel more inspired and more encouraged to just be themselves and to be open and to be loving and to be encouraging and to be supportive of each other. That's definitely another, you know, very big theme in Veronica's life, is to be supportive and to just be helpful and encouraging and to, you know, have as much positivity in your life as you can, you know, come at things with love in your heart. And I think that's really amazing and a perfect reflection of the type of person that the woman, girl, I don't know, the lovely woman who recommended looking into this person, Veronica Varlow, was Cryptic Jasmine, who is also another one of the most kind, inspiring, encouraging, motivating women I have ever met in my life. She is honestly just she's just wonderful. She really is. She's a really nice, wonderful, understanding, patient, and kind, encouraging, lovely woman. I can't say enough nice things. You should definitely check out her channel if you like me and my personality. I know that you will like her. She just has a wonderful outlook, is really well spoken, and just so kind-hearted and genuine. She does a lot of videos on her channel about alternative and goth style, and she's just awesome. She's into you know, the type of witchy stuff that I described in this video, tarot readings and other things like that. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, then she would definitely be a great channel for you to follow. I also found out after recording this that she has started her own tarot reading website. So if you're interested in getting your own personalized tarot card reading, you can visit nineofcoinstarot.com and book your own appointment and get a very personalized and insightful reading from Cryptic Jasmine, who is also known as Athena. But yeah, so you can check out her website. This is it right here. It's called nineofcoinstarot.com. She has 17 years worth of experience and can give you a great reading if you're interested. but even regardless, even if you're not into that stuff, just hearing her perspective and hearing the way that she can explain and describe things is honestly really worth checking out. Like, she's a very smart, humble, genuine, passionate, kind individual, and I would highly encourage anyone to go check her out, support her content, interact, listen to what she has to say, because she's really cool. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys are on board with my whole Stitches and Stories thing, because I want to keep doing this. I highly encourage feedback. Please, I would love, for us to figure this out together. This is something I want to keep working on and keep figuring out. Obviously, I can't finish an entire embroidery in one sitting a lot of the time, so you will see clips. I mean, I guess at this point you would have already seen them. But yeah, some of the clips are probably different setting, different lighting or whatever. But let me know what you all think of this. Is this something you're into? How do we feel about it? I want to keep doing it. So yeah, I had a really good time talking to you all today. That was the story of Veronica Varlow, the burlesque performer and love witch. I hope that it was entertaining for you all, and a cool little story for everyone to listen to. Let me know if there's any other type of story that you'd like to hear. Like I said, I have a lot of things already saved that I'd like to talk about, and they're all different sorts of things. I will say, credit where credit is due. Big reason that I was inspired to start this series was because of Bailey Sarian. She is the person who I watch the most often who does content like this. I know there is plenty of other people who do content like this, but Bailey Sarian and Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Monday was definitely a huge inspiration for this, so shout out to her for that. However, like I said, I'm not going to only do true crime. I'm not going to put myself in that position. I know I'm not mentally stable enough to be reading about that kind of stuff and researching those things a lot. So I do want to do some true crime stories because I do find that fascinating, and I think it is important education-wise. Honestly, I've learned a lot from the videos that I've watched, and I would be interested to make some true crime cases, but that's not going to be my main focus. I can't do that. I don't have the mentality. I don't have the mental stability. I don't have the mental stability to be reading and just thinking and researching about murder all the time. I can't do it. I'm already way too paranoid. But there are plenty of other interesting things that I have heard stories about that I have saved. And also just things in my life, just interesting stories of things that have happened to me or people I know, or, things like that. So that's the type of content that I want to be bringing to the table. Let me know if there's anything specifically you guys are interested in hearing more than something else. If there's any specific story that you'd be interested in hearing me tell, or person, I am open to suggestions, and I hope to continue this on a consistent basis. I appreciate all of you who have stuck with me since I started this channel. You truly have no idea how much it means to me. I love you. And I haven't forgotten. I know I've been having a very shoddy record with posting the past year and a half or 2 years. I've been going through it, 2020 was rough for everyone, and it's just been rough. So I really, really, really appreciate the people who have continued to stick with me, who have continued to follow me on Instagram and stuff like that, and who still message me from time to time. You guys are so amazing. You really, really, really mean the world to me. I appreciate it so much, and I have been thinking about you this whole time. I've been trying to film this video for months. You don't even know. I have literally had the tripod and the lights and everything set up in my room, and I've woken up every day wanting to try, and it's just been rough. It's just been rough. And you know, that's just how it is sometimes. But I'm really happy that I was able to finally sit down and talk to you again. And I absolutely 100% intend, plan, hope, you know, I really want to continue to be consistent with this. I want this series to be a series. I want this to continue. I really want to keep doing this and be here and be on YouTube for me and have fun with it again. And yeah, that's pretty much that. If you're still here, then I know you're an OG. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Anybody who has subscribed or plans on subscribing, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for any likes, whatever, comments. It means the world, any of it. And even if you just sat there and listened, thank you. I'm gonna go now, but I will see you again soon. I will. I'm gonna keep on top of this one. And if I don't, get on me. Also, just a side note, I have been on TikTok, the last social media or place on the internet I ever thought I would be. So if I don't show up on here in enough time, if you're starting to be like, yo, where the fuck that bitch at? I am on TikTok, just Liz Effington, and I post little story times or just little rants, you know, little thoughts I can't keep to myself, and I just have to let y'all know what's going on in my mind, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, point is, if you miss me on here ever, I do make TikToks sometimes, like just little story times and stuff like that. So that's a place you can catch me. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go now.